And then I would like to give the word to Björn Wallén, and you can screen share the presentation.
Thank you very much, and good morning, everybody. It's a pleasure for me to be here as the first speaker in this session, and I will start the PowerPoint presentation really soon, just to give a structure for my 10 minutes. So I will do it now. So let me see. So I have a quite ambitious theme here, Deep Bildung in the Age of Transformation. And I have some key words that I use here during these 10 minutes. The first is about metaphors, about Bildung metaphors, and then I dive into the deep ecology. And then as a spice, I also have a Chinese Gunfu element. So you will be a little bit surprised maybe, but you might have some better picture after this. And then I also have some conceptual framework concerning the Ecosocial Building. And then at the last, I come to Deep Bildung and 3 layers of Deep Bildung, three ways of speaking about Deep Bildung. And then my speech will be ended. So if I just continue from here, who am I? I really, you already said I'm an anthropologist. I also a Bildung decathlonist. That means that I've been doing all these things. I'm a practitioner. I have been doing sustainable development through Agenda 21 and now Agenda 2030, which is really important for me, the global goals. But then the second one here is I'm a grandpa, and that was one week ago I became a grandpa. So now I live in a baby boom in our house, because I live in a house with several generations living. We have an Afro-Finnish household. So my daughter-in-law is from Kenya, and that is really interesting for us to live here. Then, of course, my official position is that I'm a chair of Finnish Adult Education Association, which means we are the liberal adult education in Finland, 1 million students. So I'm the chair of this kind of a big movement within Bildung. And also I'm the inventor of the Deep Bildung concept. This is first time it will be in a kind of an international scene that this will be presented. So it's really, you are the first ones to hear it now today. Then if we go to the metaphors of Bildung, I have chosen three metaphors. The first would be the rag. You see the first picture there. The rag can stay for the intertwining of ideas and actions and institutions and everything that makes our narrative of our history conception. A rag is also a sustainable carpet. You can stand on it for generations. In Finland, we used to use these rugs in our summer cottages. And I have, in my summer cottage, I have really old rugs that really are sustainable over the generations. So that is one conception of Bildung, metaphor. Then the other one is quite, I think, well known. It's the onion. We talk about different layers of Bildung, and we can say that Bildung is kind of an archaeological adventure. We go through history through layers. In archaeology, we do it really physically. We explore different layers. But I think also this metaphor can be used in this Bildung context. Note that there is no core in an onion. I think that the core, you have to feel it yourself. And for me, the core is, I have behind me a heart. In Spanish, you say corazón. So the core for me is the Bildung of the heart. And then the third metaphor here is the iceberg. This is a quite funny picture because this iceberg, it was a Finnish environment activist group called themselves Melting Ice. They wanted to carve a sculpture of Donald Trump on a melting iceberg, just to inform him about the global warming. This was in 2018. So this kind of, but it's also a metaphor for Bildung in that sense that in an iceberg you can have a visible part and then you have the invisible part under the surface. So it's a working metaphor, for example, so that the visible part is what you see, the visible things outside, maybe the society and all these things. But the invisible is the inner side of you, which is really important too, because there you have the deeper emotions, deeper knowledges, and views of yourself and the world. So these are three quite common, I think, metaphors, and all. I don't grade them. I don't think that one metaphor is better than another, but they can be complementary actually. And then I come to the fourth one, which is the mountain. And now I want to come to this deep ecology. And my favorite here is, of course, Arne Næss, the Norwegian philosopher. I think that we have one Norwegian here, Sturla. Are you there? Sturla Björkaker, he's here.
Yes, I'm here. Good to see you, Björn.
Good to see you. I'm sure you are familiar with this Arne Næss, but also many others are, of course, because he's said to be one of the founding fathers of the deep ecology movement in the 70s and 80s. And he created also a concept of ecosophy, which means then it's a Greek word for oikos, household, and then sophia, wisdom. And I think that this is really interesting. How could we interpret this ecosophy now in this world, where we are living now in the 21st century and the 20s? And also he had a concept of self-realization, which means not only self-realization of human beings, but also for the realization of plants and animals in the ecosystem. So he kind of spoke about the balance between the human and the non-human ecosystem. And also that plants and animals also have the right for self-realization. And this is now when we think about the extinction of species globally as a consequence of climate change and also some other human invasive actions on the political and the practical level. So self-realization is also used in the context of Bildung, but here we can see that it also have a kind of a closeness to the ecosystem. And then also as a philosophical for the future, he used an interesting term of possibilism, which means that the future is open, and it's kind of a third way between optimism and pessimism. So referring to Spinoza and to Gandhi. Baruch Spinoza from the 17th century was one of his main philosophers. Also Gandhi, like you can do actions really. So ecosophy in itself, it means action. It's not a esoteric thing that you just have somewhere up in the space in your mind, but it's really action. So this is something that we also have been stressing here about the Bildung, that Bildung should be kind of more action, concrete action for a better world. And then, but the mountain, what is a mountain in Arne Næss philosophy? I think it was the mental landscape for him. For me, one way to go to Bildung is to think about your mental landscape. What is your mental landscape? Is it a forest? Is it an open sea? Or is it a mountain? In Norwegian, you say hytte. So I would call him a hytte philosopher. And he had the hut up there in Dvergastein who's really high up where he stayed and really practiced what he was teaching. And there is a wonderful YouTube, there are some clips, 2 wonderful clips from Arne Næss, The Call of the Mountain. So I really want to urge you to watch these clips. They are in English and you can follow him and it's really inspiring. So this was about the metaphor of the mountain and Arne Næss connected to deep ecology. But then I make this step to the Chinese Bildung tradition. Also for Arne Næss, there was a dimension of Eastern philosophy, but here in the Chinese context, there is a concept of Gunfu, and the Gunfu is that means skills, abilities, mental and moral maturity. And then if we think about this, hey, this is comes really close to the Bildung concept. And I'm for a time now I've been investigating this Gunfu concept because I've been practicing also a kind of a Gunfu practice for 10 years now. It's called Qigong. So in this concept, this historical context, the Gunfu is a lifelong open-ended process, exactly the same as the European Bildung concept. Actually, it's open-ended, but it's a kind of a maturity that you can receive through it. But then, of course, everybody thinks now about the martial art, Kung Fu, maybe. You have, and there I really can recommend you this book of Bruce Lee. You know Bruce Lee, this actor in these violent movies, the philosophical art of self-defense. But actually, if you dig deeper in the Kung Fu tradition, you find that violence is not the goal or even the means to achieve maturity. The goal of Kung Fu actually is wisdom and it's a quietness of mind, a peaceful mind. And I also read a book called Kung Fu Meditations, where there's Chinese proverbial wisdom, and there's you see the quotation. The first quotation in that book is, "A violent man shall die a violent death. This will be the essence of the teaching." That means that the essence of the Chinese Kung Fu Bildung is non-violence. So now I can connect back to Arne Næss and say that it's really paradoxical. And why should we study China? I think in this situation where we have China as an invasive political and financial superpower, we need to dig deeper to see what's behind. They have a long tradition of non-violence, a Bildung tradition, but that is forgotten. And that is in this market dictatorial system, it has forgotten, they have forgotten this. They have kind of, secularized it and did it not working. It is not influencing the politics and the finance of thinking. But in the future, China will be a superpower even more. So we should start this tradition in order to get some other picture of China too, the forgotten tradition in the philosophical history. Okay, but then I come to Ecosocial Building, which is one of the key concepts in Finland now in the debate on Bildung. And this is a definition that we made in my organization, Finnish Adult Education Association. The big picture, really the big picture. I read it now for you. Ecosocial Building is a planetary transformative force where people and their communities create together a widening democratic space where biological and cultural diversity of all living is respected. So in this sentence, you can already feel the essence of Arne Næss and similar thinkers. But then I created it onward. So in the context of Ecosocial Bildung, I created this Deep Bildung concept, and you will get it now. And this will be the end of my speech, but I will just read them for you, and then I leave it open for you to reflect upon and think further on, and maybe you can discuss it also here in this session. Deep Bildung is first ecosystemic learning and contextual interpretation. Deep Bildung is always challenging the learning systems and also setting up the context, just to understand the contextual settings and interpretation. And then the second layer is Deep Bildung is multi-layered understanding on creating sustainable futures. And that is the essence also of the Ecosocial Building, that we need this multi-layered understanding. Of course, everything is connected here in my speech now, so all these dimensions are interlinked. And the third one also, I think it's really important one to have a kind of philosophical dialogue in a state of transforming worldviews. You see it there. This is we need the dialogical, the skills for dialogue. We need to train our skills in dialogue. And this is really the essence of also in the liberal adult education tradition in the Nordic countries, that dialogue will be the one. But also we need to acknowledge that we are all humans and we are living on the planet. We should fix this together. And if we don't have this dialogical, that is open, active dialogue, we will all continue living in our bubbles, and we will not break the bubbles and come out, because this is the function of Deep Bildung, really, that you see the essence of who you are and who we are together, the foundation of the human and the non-human existence. So here I will end my presentation.